Hello, and welcome to the Fertile Ground Grant Program Technical Assistance webinar, and thank you for your interest in applying for this very exciting opportunity. My name is Zach Dietz, and I will be hosting your webinar today. Sean Dorr will be the point of contact for technical related questions throughout the application phase of this opportunity. His contact information is listed here. For other information regarding the opportunity, please see americanindiancancer.org/fertile-ground-grant. Again, welcome to the Fertile Ground Grant Program Technical Assistance webinar, and thank you for attending today's webinar. The purpose of this webinar is to familiarize you with the Fertile Ground Grant Program as outlisted in the RFP and walk you through how to apply using the online grant portal. After this webinar, you should possess the technical knowledge needed to effectively and confidently apply for the Fertile Ground Grant Program. I encourage you to check out the Frequently Asked Questions document listed on our website. This contains questions from this webinar and other individual inquiries we've received. First, I would like to review the grant background. The Fertile Ground Grant Project funds tribes, Native advocates, Native youth, and Native-led organizations to create sustainable community health improvements through nutrition and food sovereignty efforts. The grants of up to $35,000 provide support for Native-led convenings to identify community health priorities, advocacy and policy strategies that address improving health outcomes, access to healthy food, and food sovereignty work rooted in tradition, culture, and indigenous knowledge. This grant is made possible through a partnership of the Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux community and the American Heart Association, and their contribution of $200,000 to support innovative, nutrition-based, health-focused advocacy efforts in Native American communities. The American Indian Cancer Foundation is offering technical assistance to grantees in administering the grant process. This grant program represents a continuation of the American Heart Association and Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux community collaboration to address the dietary health crisis in Indian country. The two entities organized the groundbreaking Fertile Ground Conference Series, bringing together national funders to discuss food access and nutrition in 2015, and Native leaders and activists to share ideas on policy change for improved nutrition in 2016. For more information about the funders and the background of this partnership, please see Appendix B in the RFP. Next, we will review eligibility, program goals, and deadlines. Eligibility. Funding will be limited to entities that meet the following eligibility requirements. Organizations or fiscal sponsor is a U.S.-based tribal nation or a Native American-controlled nonprofit 501c3 organization, and the applicant has successful examples of current and previous efforts focused on improving nutrition, food access, and the health of Native communities, and the application has a well-articulated plan for improved nutrition, food access, and wellness, honoring the wisdom and strength of indigenous cultures and traditions. The goals of the Fertile Ground Grant Program are to bring together diverse community voices and secure documented input on what types of resources, support, and/or capacity-building technical assistance are needed to realize advocacy and policy change goals. Identify community health priorities and develop strategic action plans for tribal, local, state, and/or federal advocacy movement building and policy change. Specifically, engage the voices and ideas of Native youth for policy change. Specifically, engage the voices and ideas of Native youth for policy change solutions related to nutrition, wellness, and food sovereignty. The grant application deadlines. Eligible applicants interested in applying for the Fertile Ground Grant Program must register and complete their grant application at this website listed here. They must do this by December 19th, 2017 at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Successful applicants will demonstrate readiness to organize planning and convening efforts with diverse stakeholders in their community or region to explore and document the critical learning questions identified as a requirement of this funding. If there are questions related to eligibility or the application process, please see the link to FAQs at our website. If you meet the eligibility requirements and your vision for building a stronger community is aligned with the goals of this grant, you are strongly encouraged to apply. Successful applicants will clearly describe their plan to organize local or regional convenings aimed at bringing together a diverse set of Native stakeholders to explore critical learning questions. Applicants are required to host at least one convening exploring the first question listed on this slide and RFP, and at least 2 additional critical learning questions from the next 2 slides in depth. Applicants may choose to add additional questions to this list that are relevant to the specific community or group of participants. Convenings will result in the development of informed community advocacy and policy change strategies and action plans, which elevate Native voices and cultural wisdom. Critical learning questions. 1. What is your community's long-term vision for normalizing healthy eating and/or strengthening food sovereignty? How will this vision contribute to improved health outcomes for future generations? How is it rooted in traditional Indigenous teachings and practices? This first question must be explored by all grantees. Question 2. What are the bold ideas, including policy change strategies, that will help your community achieve its vision for health and wellness in the short term and long term? Question 3. What strategies and practices need to be implemented to support bringing bold ideas to fruition over the next 1 to 3 years in your community? Question 4. What types of resources and capacity building support are needed over the next 3 years to achieve your community's vision related to improved health? Question 5. How are champions in your community contributing to your vision and plans for advocacy and policy change? Who is involved and who needs to be involved in the future? This could be elders, youth, tribal leadership, institutions and programs, Native food producers, teachers, healthcare providers. Question 6. What is needed to build support and collaboration within your community and with external allies partners to support a shared vision and values regarding improved health outcomes, nutrition, and/or food sovereignty? What are the biggest opportunities and greatest strengths, both now and historically, in your community that will support your vision for health and policy change? Question 8. What are the greatest challenges and potential barriers to achieving your community vision, bold ideas, and policy change priorities? What is your plan to overcome these? Once you've given some thought to these questions and have identified how you would like to explore the required first question and at minimum 2 other questions in your community, you can then move on to applying for the Fertile Ground Grant Program at americanindiancancer.org/fertile-ground-grant. When you click the hyperlink to the application page, you will be brought to a login page that will look like this. Since you will be new to the grant portal program, you will have to create a new account. This is located next to the login button on the middle of your screen. A quick note, this system works on all major browsers such as Chrome, Internet Explorer/Edge, Safari, and Firefox. Here is where you will enter all important contact information for your organization, yourself, the executive officer, additional executive officer information, and create a password. Please document your password for later in the event you need to save your application and come back later. Please note that using the back arrow on your browser will exit out of this form and your information may not be saved. Also, all fields with an asterisk are required information that needs to be entered in the format that is being requested. After all information is entered correctly, please click the next button on the lower right-hand side to move on to entering your information under the User Information category. User Information. As you can see, you have the option to copy address from organization on the upper left-hand side of this field. If you are a member of the organization listed on the first page, this is a good option for you to use. If you are not a member of the organization, please enter your individual information here. Once again, all fields filled with an asterisk are required, and all fields need to follow the suggested formatting as shown in the examples above the field, with an example being the phone numbers field. Executive Officer question. You will be asked if you are the executive officer of the organization you are applying for. This is a yes or no question that needs to be answered before moving forward. If you are not the executive officer at your organization, then you will be prompted to enter all the contact information of the executive officer from the organization you are applying for. Please make sure to obtain this information before applying to ensure an easy registration process for you. An email will be sent to the email address you provided to ensure you are receiving emails from the Foundant Technologies Grant Management System. This email will be from our partners at EchoHawk Consulting. If you do not see an email from EchoHawk Consulting, please check your junk, spam, or promotions folders. If this email did end up in one of these folders, please click the blue hyperlink labeled "Click Here" for a tutorial about removing addresses from spam filters. To move forward, please select one of the answers that best describes your situation from the 3 options provided to you on this screen. You can also have the email resent by clicking the Send Email Again button. If you are still not receiving the email, please contact Sean Dorr at sdorr@acaf.org. You are now ready to apply for the Fertile Ground Grant Program using the Foundant Grant Portal. The application autosaves as you move along the application process. To be safe, I would suggest you use the Save button located at the bottom of the application as well. You do not have to complete your application in one sitting and can come back at any time before the application is due. Once you submit your application, you will not be able to make changes to it. A submitted application will be the final submission for your organization. Once again, if you haven't read the eligibility requirements, we encourage you to do so before applying, and these can be found in the RFP listed. After clicking the preview button, you will be brought to a preview version of the application where you can access the request for proposal, organization information, convening goals, results, and alignment, required documentation, and budget screens exactly as they will be listed on the actual application. It is recommended you take a look at these pages before you begin your application to ensure you have all the proper documentation needed to apply. Additionally, you can access a PDF version of these fields that includes the character limit by clicking the question list button on the upper right-hand side of the screen. This preview page is a great resource for you to leverage to ensure you are meeting all application requirements and put your best forward in applying for this opportunity. When you're done reviewing this page, you can select the Home or Apply button at the top left of your screen or go to the name at the top right-hand side of the page to log out. Please make sure to have your password documented for your reference when you return. You will now see the Application Dashboard. If you select the Home button, your screen will look like this with both the organization and the information listed. If this information is incorrect, please contact Sean Dorr at sdorr@acaf.org. Also, on the upper left of this page, you will be able to access the GuideStar's public profile of your organization. After selecting this button, you will be prompted to review the terms and conditions of accessing GuideStar's page, as GuideStar is third party and not part of Foundant or any funders of the Fertile Ground Grant Program. By accepting, you will be taken to the GuideStar's page on the organizations whose tax ID you entered during the registration process. Access to the GuideStar page is strictly a tool for you to use if you would like. GuideStar contains information about your organization such as tax ID number you might need, but you are not required to use this tool for any fields within the application. Lastly, to apply, you can click the Apply button at the upper left-hand side of your screen or the blue hyperlink labeled Apply below your user info. From there, you will be brought to the first page of the application, which should look familiar as it is the same page we've already reviewed where the eligibility requirements and application preview button are located. Select Apply to access the application that will appear exactly as shown in the preview. You are now in the application, and this is what your page will look like. As you can see, the RFP and question list is available for you to access for your success at the beginning of this application process. The application will move in sequential order covering the following fields: organization information, convening goals, results and alignment, required documentation, and budget. The first information needed will be your organization information. Here, we request the title of the project, the grant amount request. This can be up to $35,000, and the nutrition and wellness experience. Please note that all fields throughout this application with an asterisk are required. Organization information continued. This part of the application will ask for help convening experience and outcomes. This should be a summary of current or previous community-wide convenings on any health topic. Describe the participants engaged and the results of the convenings. The outcome section will be a summary of the expected outcomes of this convening and how you will measure success. In more depth, we're going to ask for the convening goals, results, and alignment. The goals will just be the goals of the convening. The recruitment will be the process for how you will recruit participants. And then invitations is how many participants will be invited and information on them. On this page, you will find the reach section. Here you will want to describe your convening reach and explain, are you going to have one event, multiple, and then what level of government will be the proposed policy advocacy initiative to focus on? Is this tribal, city, state, national, or other? Here we would like you to provide a timeline. This will just be a proposed program timeline for how you will carry out your events. This page, we will explore the critical learning questions we talked about earlier. Remember, applicants are required to host at least one convening exploring question 1 from the RFP and at least 2 additional critical learning questions listed in the RFP in depth. Here, you're also required to explain the analysis and the intended results. This will be describing the plan and/or the needs for analyzing results of the convenings. How will you make the information gathered useful for informing policy and systems change strategies? Also, you will describe the intended results of the convenings and how the results will be used to inform strategies to achieve goals. Here you will need to upload your most recent financial statements, audited or preferred, and all files must be in PDF format. For nonprofits, please upload your IRS public determination letter and a current list of your board of directors. These should be in separate PDF files as well. Another step of the application is the budgeting. Here you will list salaries and fringe for those on the project. You will also list the intended salaries of any consultants that you will seek throughout this project. Here is where you list the budget for travel and supplies. Please list both and then descriptions of each. And we would also like you to provide a budget for meeting expenses and printing and copying. If you have any other things to be included in the budget, please provide that budget and list the description here. At the bottom of this page is where you will be able to save your application at any point of the process and submit your application when you are ready. Make sure to review your application before submitting to ensure you've entered all information correctly. If you missed a required field, your application will not be submitted until this field has been corrected. You will receive a notification letting you know which field you've missed. After you've successfully submitted your application, your screen will move to the confirmation page. You will also receive an email from EchoHawk Consulting letting you know that your application has been received. When you select Continue, you will be brought to your Founding Application homepage where you will see the status of your application as being submitted. If you were to save and exit the application during your process, your application will be listed as saved, and you can click the blue hyperlink to access and complete your application. A program timeline. We will be notifying award recipients by phone and email the week of February 5th through the 9th of 2018. With today being 11/29, the next step on our Fertile Ground Planning and Convening Grants Program timeline will be the closing of this grant opportunity on December 19th of 2017 at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. From there, we will begin the application review process in January of 2018, publicly announcing grantees and disperse grant awards in February, with grantees beginning implementation in March and concluding in August of 2018. A total of $175,000 will be awarded to support this effort across Indian country. Successful applicants will receive grants of up to $35,000 to support relevant planning, convening activities between March and August of 2018. For those who are selected to participate in the Fertile Ground Grant Program, you will be required to participate in a grantee orientation call or webinar at a time to be determined later. We will notify you about the specifics of this kickoff call at the time you are notified of your award. You will then be required to host a planning convening of local or regional stakeholders to be held before July 30th, 2018. Your planning and convening activities should actively engage a variety of stakeholders to foster collaboration in developing policy change goals for sustainable positive change. Your convening and planning efforts should focus on identifying advocacy and policy change priorities and ideas at tribal, local, regional, or national level. The convening should specifically address the policies, procedures, and practices of tribal, local, state or federal governments, schools, public and private institutions, agencies, and organizations that influence nutrition, food access, food sovereignty, and health within these topic areas. To support successful convenings, the American Indian Cancer Foundation will share helpful tools and resources that will be available for all grantees. These tools will empower grantees to effectively facilitate and plan their convening, as well as develop action plans to their community. The reporting requirements for all grantees will be to provide a summary of your planning convening discussion, the stories collected, and the next steps that were derived from your convening. These are to include the specific strategies identified by convening participants to identify policy change to improve nutrition, food access, food sovereignty, and health. You will also be required to describe the capacity and commitment to implement the identified advocacy and policy change strategies identified in the convenings related to improving nutrition, food access, food sovereignty, and health. We will provide you with a survey to distribute among your convening participants, and the results from the survey are a requirement of your funding. Lastly, we will need to collect the report on how you spent your grant funds. We will cover grantee requirements again during your orientation call or webinar. We know the answers to building a stronger and healthier Indian country come from the wisdom that resides within the community itself. We are very happy to be working with our partners, the Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux community and Voices for Healthy Kids from the American Heart Association to bring you this grant opportunity. We are honored and thrilled to be working with you, the community visionaries and advocates for positive change that you are, in making a difference for our people across the nation. To create the change we all envision for our respective communities, it is essential we work collaboratively. Your interest in the Fertile Ground Grant opportunity and participation in today's webinar is proof this dream is alive throughout Indian country. Together we can make a difference in Indian country, and together we will transform our dreams into a reality for our people. This now concludes our webinar. If you have any questions, please first see the FAQ listed on our website, or here's contact information with more further inquiries or questions. You can contact Sean Dorr at the email or number provided. Be sure to check out our website, www.acaf.org, for more information on the Fertile Ground Grant Program. This will be found under the Grants ribbon. Thank you for participating today.